Yesterday, I had one of the largest revelations of my entire business journey, which was that the secret to success, at least in a service-based industry, is a combination of speed and clarity. Now, I say this with a caveat because if you just know and can regurgitate on the surface level all the information that I'm about to tell you, it's not going to lead to you being successful. However, if you truly understand it, I can 100% guarantee you that you will be successful. And there's a degree of subjectivity to that, but let's put it to the side. Now, the Sanskrit language clearly makes the distinction between knowing something and understanding it. If you know it, it just means that you understand something, maybe a hint of it, and you can regurgitate it on the surface level and maybe memorize it, talk to other people about it. But to truly understand something means that you will never logically mess it up. And the truth of things is that humans just don't operate that way. We do make the same mistake twice. And that is exactly why Alex Hormozi says that humans need to be reminded far more than they need to be taught. And the workaround to this is that you must bake every lesson into your environment, otherwise it is not going to last very long. Therefore, if you bake this video and the lesson that I'm about to talk about that I learned on speed and clarity into your environment, you will guaranteed be successful. Now, by speed, I mean urgency. Do you remember the times in which you were in school and you had to write that test, and in the very last minutes of it, you were trying your ass off on the questions that you had left because you wanted to make sure that you gave it your all? Or maybe the times where you had an assignment that was due and you waited all the way up until the last day to actually start working on it. And then in that moment, you don't think to yourself, oh, should I be focused? Am I being productive right now? You don't have any thoughts because you need to do good. You need to do the work. You have to do it. Or maybe when the rent is due and you don't know where the money is going to come from. You have to get to work. That is the level of urgency that I'm talking about. Or maybe even you're running a business and people's lives depend on you because they need the money that you pay them, the wage that you pay them in order to feed their family. If you are in the situation of that business owner, the environment of that business owner, you don't think twice before having that urgency or acting with that urgency. And that urgency is simply an emotion. And that once again takes us back to the concept of baking the lesson into your environment. In all of those cases, one of which you are probably familiar with and have been in before, it is your environment that made it so that you had to act, and you did act. And so you understand what I'm talking about when I say this urgency and this concept of speed. You understand what it feels like. And the truth is, as a man and even some women have the ability to put themselves in a frame of urgency. You can bring up emotions from other places, maybe regret about past decisions that you've had, or literally anything, regardless of when it comes to a health perspective, on a long enough time horizon, after say 10 years, you can switch up the mindset, whatever the hell you have. But it's like, you can draw energy from different places to create a sense of urgency in yourself. You understand the goals that you have can be achieved in a time continuum likely smaller than what you already set for yourself. And that aside, you should regardless have a sense of urgency with your actions because it is directly correlated to the speed of the action that you take, which is fundamentally first principles, what is going to lead to you being successful. However, if you have the speed and the urgency without having the clarity and the clear understanding of what you need to do, you're going to end up in a very dark place. You're going to end up somewhere very far from success. Because clarity at the very definitional, logical, first principles level is knowing what to do to some degree. You at least have to be pointed in the right direction. If you're starting a business, you at least have to know that you have to do outreach to be able to get clients. And so it's like the level 1 understanding of clarity is to know what to do. But still, that basic understanding is very, very tricky because this understanding is why when people first start a business, we feel as if the sales call is an absolute monster because what about all the other people that have all these case studies, all these testimonials that have done amazing things, and so we make a huge monster out of the sales call. We have a sense of imposter syndrome. Sales call aside, imposter syndrome lives in almost every single one of us. We have doubts about whether or not we're going to be successful, whether or not we're going to be able to achieve whatever goals it is that we have in life. We have doubts about these things. And clarity is the complete opposite of that doubt. And so when you have this clarity, not only on an emotional level, which is the level one understanding of basic clarity and knowing what to do, but also on a level of KPI and analytics, you are almost guaranteed to, logically speaking, be successful. Now, when it comes to understanding what to do, if you're knowing what to do next, like let's say I know I need to do outreach. And the reason I keep bringing up outreach is because that is specifically what I had this quote unquote revelation about. Because yesterday, for about 3 hours, I sat there in complete silence. And before that 3 hours, I just fully wasted it just watching YouTube videos, playing games, because I knew that there was a monster that I wasn't confronting. There was that same feeling when you, for the first time, are going to hop on a sales call. I had that same feeling. That emotion was in my head. And the reason why I had that is because I hadn't done outreach in a long time. And so I looked at my analytics, which this is moving on to the level 2, sort of a little bit more advanced understanding of what clarity truly is. And that comes from a guy named Daniel Iles, who's a very, very successful businessman. He's netted over $5 million a month. And he mentioned that the number one factor which leads to a business owner being successful is their ability to predict the future using KPIs. And so using KPIs and analytics, specifically, I tie it back to outreach, which is like, I came to the understanding of the exact amount. I looked at my conversion rates. I looked at my closing percentage based on both my emails and my Instagram outreach. And it's like, how much volume would I have to do in order to reach the goal that I have? And then how do I directly tie that into my environment to make sure that every single day, according to my schedule, I'm able to consistently, because we are the sum of the habits that we have, do the actions that directly lead to success, which is do the specific types of outreach at the specific volume according to the KPIs, not just my emotions, that are going to lead to me being successful. And then on the basis of those KPIs, I can boost my level 1 understanding of what clarity truly is, which is knowing what to do. And I know, because I have the evidence, the cold hard evidence and the facts from the numbers and the KPIs, that my being pointed in the right direction to just know that I'm doing the outreach is going to make me feel invincible. It's going to make me feel as if I know every single word that somebody is going to say on that daunting sales call. It makes me feel as if I know the exact responses, as if I can predict literally everything. And obviously that's logically impossible, but I feel that way. And that feeling is a very strong one. It's a feeling that makes you, this is why people say assume success and the law of attraction. This is why people have those concepts in their mind. And that is just a different perspective on what a truer business concept of analytics, clarity, and speed really are. Because those are the concepts that are going to objectively and emotionally be able to lead you to success. I'm not going to make this longer than it needs to be. That is the overall understanding that I've had. And I emotionally, obviously it's come down a little bit from yesterday, which is contrary to what I'm saying right now in an emotional sense. However, in an execution sense, the concept very much lives in my head. Now, when it comes to baking this lesson into your environment, I had some habits that were so disgusting and just so, like, even the surface level, the movies, the video games, the wasting time, the friends, all the BS, all of it. You know, the bad habits. All that stuff was destroying me for about 6 years. And so I made my environment conducive to the man that I wanted to be. I turned my room into a recording studio. I literally spent thousands of dollars on my entire setup, my room. And it's like, why would I do that? Well, it's so that I can bake all the lessons of the man that I want to be into my environment so that I never forget them, and so that I can get closer and closer to success incrementally and do all the things that I need to do in order to be successful. And so the overall lesson that I want you to take away from this video is come up with some emotions that actually build some urgency in your head, and that does not take long to do. You know what pisses you off. Think of that shit. You have the urgency in your head, and then you have the clarity. The clarity comes from knowing what to do, and that's like not watching hours and hours of YouTube videos, but it's like pick one YouTube video, or like pick one thing, pick one method of outreach, and it's like have some faith in it, and then go fucking do it. And then beyond that, it's like track the analytics after you're done doing it, and then it's like what percentage did you close at? What like open rate? Fucking track all the rates, man. I don't have that fucking Excel sheet pulled up in front of me, but it's like track all the rates after doing like 100 outreaches. And then it's like, how many would you need to do to make 100K a month? How many, you know what I'm saying? So it's all straightforward. It's so simple. First principles thinking. It's all straightforward. It's all right there. And we just need to go grab it. That's as simple as it is. Not going to make it any longer than it has to be. That is the lesson that I learned yesterday. Speed and clarity equals success. Good luck.